In a stunning and deeply polarizing moment that has sent shockwaves through Washington, Representative Ilhan Omar found herself at the center of a political firestorm after remaining silent during a heated emergency debate over a U.S. embassy attack abroad. What followed was nothing short of a career-altering showdown that saw Representative Jasmine Crockett deliver a fiery, unrelenting rebuke on the House floor. That silence from Omar, coupled with her controversial past statements, created the perfect storm, leading to one of the most dramatic congressional expulsions in modern history. And in the midst of it all, as Crockett finished her dismantling of Omar's position, Omar could only mutter quietly, "I'm gonna go now," before being effectively banned from Congress. This is the untold story behind the political humiliation that stunned the nation. The U.S. Capitol was already buzzing with intense activity as the news of the attack broke. An American embassy overseas had come under siege in what officials were calling a deliberate and coordinated act of aggression. Intelligence reports were still flowing in, detailing the chaos, the casualties, and the geopolitical implications. The president had already made a televised statement condemning the act and promising swift diplomatic and security responses. Lawmakers across party lines took to social media, expressing support for the victims and rallying behind the flag in a show of unity. But amidst the flurry of statements, one voice was conspicuously absent: Representative Ilhan Omar. While other members, even those known for their critiques of American foreign policy, managed to strike a balance between condemnation of violence and cautious political framing, Omar's silence was total and deafening. As the crisis developed, Congress convened an emergency session to publicly address the attack and chart a path forward. It was expected that Omar, a senior voice on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and a known figure in international human rights discussions, would have a powerful statement. But when it came time for her to speak, she declined. That single decision sent ripples through the chamber. Journalists and lawmakers alike took note. Omar, who had never shied away from controversy or confrontation in the past, suddenly chose silence at a moment that demanded vocal leadership. Whether it was strategic caution or emotional unpreparedness, the vacuum she left opened the door for a fierce reckoning, and Jasmine Crockett walked right through it. Crockett, a freshman congresswoman but already known for her passionate oratory and unwillingness to tolerate what she perceived as political cowardice, took the floor. Her speech began with a nod to the tragedy and the lives lost, but quickly, it pivoted. With deliberate intensity, she condemned not only the attackers but those in the chamber who, in her view, refused to stand up and speak out. Without initially naming names, she built a case against complicity through silence. Her words were layered with both sadness and fury, painting a picture of leadership not defined by title, but by action or inaction. Then came the moment when she made her target explicit. Turning toward Omar's seat, Crockett stated, "We cannot sit here and claim to represent the people of this nation, the values of democracy, and the security of our country, and at the same time shrink into silence when Americans are under attack. This isn't nuance. This isn't diplomacy. This is abandonment." The chamber was still. Omar looked ahead, expression unreadable. Crockett's voice remained firm as she listed Omar's past controversial remarks about foreign policy, quotes that had long been debated in the media and political circles, now reframed as part of a broader indictment. She noted instances where Omar criticized American actions abroad but failed, in Crockett's eyes, to ever offer balance when adversaries attacked the U.S. directly. The media seized on the clash immediately. Cable news cut into regular programming to broadcast clips of the speech. Social media exploded with viral hashtags. Crockett's defenders heralded her as a patriot, a truth-teller unafraid of calling out double standards. Omar's defenders rushed to provide context, insisting that silence did not equate to support for violence, and that waiting for more information was a prudent, not cowardly, act. But in politics, perception often matters more than intent, and Omar's failure to act decisively in that moment cemented the perception of weakness in the eyes of many. As the public scrutiny mounted, so did pressure within Congress. A bipartisan group of lawmakers began circulating a resolution aimed initially at stripping Omar of her committee assignments. The reasoning given was her failure to perform her duties in a time of national emergency. But the conversation quickly escalated. A group of moderate Democrats joined forces with Republicans, and the resolution was amended to include language about a full investigation into her fitness to serve. For many, this seemed like an inevitable result of years of controversial positions catching up with her. For others, it was an overreach, a purge driven by fear and optics. Through it all, Omar remained mostly out of the spotlight. She issued a brief statement, arguing that she had chosen to wait until all facts were confirmed before making a statement. She reiterated her condemnation of violence and mourning for the victims. But the message felt too late. The vacuum had already been filled by Crockett's fiery condemnation. The media, politicians, and much of the public had already made up their minds. It wasn't just that Omar had failed to speak, it was that Crockett had spoken in her place, and with a moral clarity that rallied the chamber. The formal vote to expel Omar from Congress came just days later. The debate leading up to the vote was intense. Lawmakers argued passionately on both sides. Some insisted that expulsion was a nuclear option, a dangerous precedent. Others countered that failing to act would itself be a dangerous precedent, that the American people deserved representatives who would not shy away in moments of crisis. When the votes were tallied, the motion passed. Omar was officially removed from all committee roles and effectively barred from participating in congressional decision-making. Though technically still holding her seat, she had no power, no platform, and no pathway to redemption in the chamber. The fallout extended beyond Washington. In Omar's district, reactions were mixed. Some constituents expressed shock and sadness, saying they still stood by her values and appreciated her work in addressing poverty, education, and civil rights. Others said they felt betrayed, that in a moment when strength was needed, their representative chose silence. Omar's political future became a question mark. Her name, once synonymous with the new progressive wave of American politics, now lingered in headlines tied to disgrace. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett's star rose rapidly. Invitations poured in from media outlets and academic institutions. She was heralded as a new kind of leader, one who combined the rhetoric of justice with the resolve of national duty. Though she repeatedly said her goal was never to destroy Omar's career, but to uphold the expectations of public service, the narrative was already etched in the public mind. She was the woman who stood up when Omar sat down. In Crockett's own words during a later interview, "I didn't come to Congress to play nice or make friends. I came here to serve my country and speak truth, even when it hurts." Privately, some members of Congress expressed discomfort with how quickly the expulsion unfolded. They worried about setting a precedent where hesitation could be equated with betrayal. They questioned whether the frenzy of public opinion had overtaken fair deliberation. But publicly, few dared challenge the decision. The fear of appearing soft or indecisive in a time of crisis was enough to silence even the skeptics. The lesson had been taught clearly. In the age of instant media and global attention, a single moment of perceived weakness can unravel an entire career. Omar's political exile marked a new chapter in American politics. Her departure wasn't just about foreign policy missteps, it signaled a broader shift within the Democratic Party. The progressive wing, once emboldened and growing, now faced internal conflict. Crockett, herself a progressive, had taken down another progressive, not from across the aisle, but from within the same ideological camp. The message was clear: values alone were no longer enough. Action, timing, and optics mattered too. And for Omar, failing to master those elements in a moment of crisis cost her everything. The phrase "I'm gonna go now," uttered in such a small voice after Crockett's public takedown, became symbolic. It was replayed endlessly, analyzed by pundits, memed online, even quoted in late-night comedy monologues. But beneath the mockery and headlines, it reflected something more tragic, a moment where a leader recognized, perhaps too late, that she had lost control of her narrative. Her voice, once bold and unwavering, was reduced to a whisper of retreat. And that whisper echoed across the nation as a warning to others in positions of power. In today's political arena, silence can be your undoing. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of political truth.